Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing great. So today's video is going to be a little different from my first one. It's going to be about having faith in uncertainty. So of course during this time I thought this would be the best time to make this kind of video because we are living in uncertain times, which we're always living in uncertain times. But if you are interested, just stay tuned and continue to watch. All right, so all the time we always hear these scriptures. For those of you who grew up in the church like I did, or grew up in any sort of religious family or anything, you always hear, you walk by faith and not by sight. And sometimes it's like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that even look like? Walking by faith and not by sight. And what is faith, and why is it something that's important? Or you hear the other one where it says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So that's exactly what faith is. Faith is believing in something that you have not seen yet, or that you just believe is going to happen for you, even if the road seems like you aren't on that path. I wanted to just point out like a few things.
I'm not a pastor, a theologian, or any of those things.
So I'm just telling you what has worked for me and what has been just getting me through moments of uncertainty in life, which we all have them. So number one is having an intimate and personal relationship with God. Now, this is like number one and could probably sum up the rest of everything that I'm going to say, but I wanted to start with that one because I think that it is the most important one. Because it's the only way that you're gonna be able to understand things that's happening in life. It's the only way that you're gonna know that you're secure, is having that personal and intimate relationship with him. And that's different for everybody. So I remember when I was younger, I would always see mothers in the church and things like that and think that I have to be a certain kind of way to be in tune with God, or to almost like it was some outward thing to show that I have a personal relationship with God. And as I've gotten older and I've gotten to know God for myself, I realized that no, it's personal. It's however I choose to express myself with God. So if that's through a quiet prayer or just devotion or listening to a gospel song in the car, or however I choose to build that relationship, it's personal to me. And so that would be like my number one thing, is to build a personal and intimate relationship with God. Number two, this goes along with number one, it's reading your word. So once you have an understanding of God's word and you're really into it and you know more, you begin to read more about him and read all the parables and all those things, it makes life somewhat easier because you're able to see the trajectory of a person's life in the Bible and how in the end God does what God does best, and you always hear in the Bible, it's because of your faith or because you had faith. It's always something, not always, but oftentimes in the Bible, it's something about faith. So you got to have faith regardless, but that comes by reading your word, because then you will see and understand that everything that's going on in your world, God already knows. He already sees. He already knows the end of what everything is going to be. And so it's the best way to kind of not be overwhelmed, not have that anxiety, not have that kind of stress on your shoulders, because as you read his word, you understand that he knows everything from beginning to the end. He has your life written out. And yeah, so if you believe in that way, if you are a faith-based person, then for certain, you gotta read your word. Okay, so number three, I cannot take credit for. It is something that I learned at my church that I grew up in, like as a teenager and everything. And it's called having friends of faith, friends that believe the same thing that you believe, friends that are like-minded in a bunch of ways, and also friends that are able to kind of pull you up when you're not feeling so good. Like sometimes things happen in our lives and our human reaction is to be overwhelmed. Our human reaction is to cry and to be stressed out and all of those things, which is okay because we are still living in our flesh. But during those times, it is good to have at least one friend of faith, one accountability partner, one person that in those moments you can call them, or in those moments they can know that, you know what, she needs to be encouraged. You know, her faith needs to be built and strengthened. So that is something that has stuck with me forever. All right, so we are now on to number 4. So number 4 is focus on the bigger picture. So a lot of times we kind of hone in on situations that are going on. We kind of like just focus on every little thing that is happening, or every little thing that's not happening for us, or things that we feel like should go this certain way, and because it's not written out to a T how we thought that it should have been, we kind of stay there. We get stuck there, we dwell there, and we live life through that failure that may have happened, or through that situation that may have happened, or through that thing that we've thought in our minds that happened that maybe did not actually go that way. But we start to live our lives through that one moment instead of looking at the whole entire bigger picture of things. So normally for me, whenever my faith is being tested or being tried, or I feel overwhelmed, or I feel stressed out or anxiety or something, I always try and take a moment to say, you know what, this is not the end all be all, because it's not. As long as we have breath in our body, there is still purpose in us to fulfill. There is still something that God has for us to do. So we have to really just not get stuck on the little things that are happening, and just push through every situation. And granted, it is easier said than done. It does have to be something that you are very intentional about, something that you truly like take the time to do. It's definitely not easy, but it is not impossible. All right, so we have made it to the last one. So number 5. Number 5 is simply the word remember. I can literally think back to moments in life where I was distraught, I was down and out. I'm talking like, for me at the time, it was like my deathbed, like the end for me. And here I am today. So that obviously was not the end for me, but it was a time where I felt that I could not get through the things that was happening, where my faith was being so tested that I was just like, what am I believing in? You know, I was having those moments. And I think especially as young Christians, young believers, we have those moments. You know, you have those times where you start to wonder, because things are all happening around you, and you start to say, well, you know, what is all of this, you know? And it's a natural thing that happens. You're not by yourself. We have all gone through that. That's why I say it is very important to remember, because if you recall those situations where you felt that you could not get through it, you felt it was the end of your life, and you just look back and remember that God came through then, He'll come through now, and He will come through forever. Because that's the kind of God that He is, you know. Sometimes we put Him in our human boxes, and we can't. We try to fathom Him in our human minds, and we just can't, because His thoughts aren't our thoughts. Like, it's important to just remember the times that you felt very, you know, just down and out, and God came through for you. Remember when you didn't know where things were going to come from. You didn't know if you were going to, you know, even something as simple as passing a test, or you didn't know, you know, how you were going to eat that day, or you did, and God just supplied those needs. Remember those things even in times of uncertainty. So even right now in the climate that we're living in, some of us are okay, some of us are, you know, just barely making it. However, we are all still alive, and it is something that we have to be grateful for, that we have to, you know, stop and just really thank God for the opportunity to live and to fulfill purpose, because we are still here and it's on purpose. So that is the end. Those were my 5 tips to having faith in uncertainty, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more talking videos and chit-chatting about different things, you can leave that in the comments. Don't forget to like, to comment, to subscribe, to share this page with your friends or anyone that you may feel may need to hear some of these things. from somebody that is young, that is going through it just like everyone else. So yeah, see you guys in my next one.